Made it back. Hello, everyone. Yeah, let's keep on going down the Q&A line here. Yeah, this is greetings, Dr. Morse. I enjoy watching your videos so much. I just viewed the one on blood sugar problems and wondered why you don't mention hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia. Did I forget to mention those two on that one? Maybe I should have. I generally do these things off the cuff, and I probably should have put those in there. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Well, hyperglycemia is high blood sugar. I mean, hypo and hyperglycemia are the opposite sides of the same coin. It's a good question if I've ignored to put that on there, because when you start to notice low blood sugar problems, it's just a matter of time when it's going to flip the other way. Still the same glands, still the adrenal glands, still sugar metabolism problems. So hyperglycemia is considered as high blood sugar. And it's all about, most of it's about the adrenal glands. I mean, we do have the islets of Langerhans and beta cells that produce insulin in the pancreas. But yeah, one way or another, hypo or hyperglycemia, that's low or high blood sugar. Same gland, fix them the same way, go in and make the gland healthy. And how do you make things healthy? Well, it goes back to saying what makes things unhealthy. Because you have to answer that question first, in my opinion. To understand what makes things unhealthy is to understand this whole thing you guys are learning. The body design, the human design, the type of foods that the body is designed for. You don't know the type of foods your body designed for, and you're just throwing any fuel in there you want, and that's the problem. For some reason, man thought he was an omnivore. And we are far from omnivores. Omnivores are dogs, hogs, bears, and chickens. We have no resemblance. Now, some people call primates omnivores. I adamantly disagree with that. They're not even, excuse me, they're not even close to the omnivore line. They're frugivores through and through. They might eat omnivorish. Just because an animal is stuck in a place where they have to eat what they have to eat, or like man has done what he's done, doesn't mean he's not a frugivore. Just because we do what we do. Also, I have a problem called porokeratosis, which is, layman's terms, is supposed to be a clogged sweat gland on the ball of your foot, right at the pressure. Right at the pressure point where the weight falls when I walk. Oh, yuck. So it's like walking on rocks. Oh. Well, you can do some reflexology and see if you can move that around a little bit. I know these acid crystals can build up under these nerve endings in the bottom of the feet and stuff. So maybe that's not a clogged sweat gland. Maybe you actually have a buildup of acids under these nerve endings, because that's what happens. That's why when you do reflexology, you can feel sensitive and painful until you work it out. And when you work it out, then you go, this feels better. But, again, we're going back to what system would clogged anything be? Think about that. What system would mean clogged? Blood doesn't clog. So, clogged. That means agglomerated. That means things are sticking together. Things are becoming agglomerated. So, what system would we be talking about? Dang, it's the same system we've been talking about all along, isn't it? Exactly, it's the lymphatic system. So you really want to look at that, because when you start seeing lymphatic problems in the feet and stuff, then you know immediately your kidneys are at issue here. But let me see what else. I am told that there's no curve for it except surgery. No. If there's indeed is a clogged sweat gland on the bottom of the foot, if it is indeed that, but then you just have to unclog it. But if it is acid crystals, which is very common, then you have to work those, but you also have to detox those. It's funny, you have to do the same thing in either situation. Matter of fact, if you look at this in all situations where you have chemical residues in the body that's hurting you, that's either clogging or inflaming or blocking, how do you get remedy from that? Well, you can't treat it. You can't put more chemistry in or take pharmaceuticals in. You can only detox it out. I mean, that's how simple everything is. Detoxification is so much more of an important word than what our society gives to it. You've got detoxing off of drugs. You've got detoxing off of alcohol. You've got all these other types of detox tanks. But this level's regenerative detoxification. This is a whole body redo. And you don't have to do a thing but control your diet and take a few herbs, and your body will do everything for you. Pretty cool stuff. The problem with some of these surgeries, of course, is you're going in an obstructed area. It creates scar tissue and other obstructions. And there was this thing when you had bone spurs on the feet, they'd cut them off. Then they had this thing where they could just cut the tissue around the bone spur. So I've talked to people with all kinds of things they've done like that, and every one of them seems to have problems in the future. So all I can say, of course, they don't like to cut bone spurs off because they claim they just grow back. Well, what causes a bone spur? Acidosis. You know, whenever you're bringing in the little brother, phosphorus, too much, you push out your sisters. So your sisters in your body is calcium and magnesium. So here we go. We leach calcium into a highly acidic medium, and that's where you see your bone spurs, your calcifications, and your stenosis. It's all from the same medium. But what gets me is that in a world where there's this much academics and they don't know that, that's frightening. Because that's pure chemistry. And if you don't know that, then where'd you go to school for? Because that is just how things work. So I don't know, you know. I have talked to my podiatrist, who is a wonderful, honest man, because he agrees that surgery is not a good option, even though he's a surgeon. Well, I like those kind of surgeons who, you know, they know what's up, you know, because they've seen it every time or hundreds or thousands of times. And so I really appreciate a good surgeon who will say, this is the way it is. You know, when you get a doctor that just lays it out to you, what they know, at least they're being honest with you and themselves, and that's a good doc. Whether they don't know, you can't expect all of us to know everything. We're all ignorant at one level or another, so you can't blame for that. It's just that when you get into levels where you're using chemistry that is killing people, that's where you have to draw some lines. About raw vegan, which he knows nothing about. Well, you want to get more than raw vegan. You know, you want to move into detoxification. If you want to remove the clogged, no matter where it is or what it is, there's only one way to do it, and that is detoxification. And a vegan diet isn't good enough. You've got to go fruits, berries, and melons, period, if you want to dig in. But that's on top of using some herbs and maybe a 24-hour dry fast here and there just to see if you can get those kidneys opened up better. Maybe even a 5-day water fast or a 20-day grape fast. Oh, yeah. But when you understand the chemistry and the physics behind why we do these things, it makes sense. And when you understand the nature of chemistry and what happens under the acid sky, then it just makes sense why we're on the other side of chemistry, why we use the energetic, why we use chemistry and energy to regenerate. Because all life is nothing but that on these levels, and above these levels, it's all energy, which is consciousness, states of consciousness. I keep thinking and hoping. Now, can we do something about the thinking? Thought I'd get you on that one. Stop thinking. Remember that? Stop thinking, stop talking, and there's nothing you won't know. If you want to know more, stop thinking and let all the information come to you. See, if you're not awake for the information, how do you get it? I keep thinking and hoping that eating raw will help it go away. It will, but you've got to get way on up there and then start going into the kidneys, your adrenals, start fixing things. Because this is a system down, and you're going after that system. Remember, the body is divided up into systems. So you want to go after the system that's causing this. Well, what system clogs the body? It isn't cells. Cells are just little people. So what clogs? Agglomeration of chemistry. Well, what causes agglomeration of chemistry? Acid chemistry. He doesn't think there is any cure, so if eating raw foods, berries, and melons were to make it go away, I would be so happy it will. But you must dig in. I would use, matter of fact, you could even use lower circulation just to get blood improvement down in those lower extremities, but you want to go kidneys, adrenals, clean up the bowels, go after the lymph system, which is part of the kidneys and adrenals. Go in that way, and you'll be successful. Not just because it would be gone, but just so I could show him the effectiveness of eating raw vegan. Raw vegan, I would say raw fruitarian. Raw vegan isn't strong enough. Well, vegetables isn't going to take you that place you need to go for this. Then it depends what your lymph system looks like. Again, we're talking generalities on these videos because the differences lie in the individual. The differences in each and every one of us lie in how long have you been in creation? How long is your journey? How emotionally devastating has some of your experiences been on you? How much storage do you have or karma do you have to work off yet? How bad is your lymphatic system? How deep is your genetic weaknesses? All these things play a major role. So let's say you're diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, right? There is a boatload of different levels of stage 4. I love how they put them in different stages, but in reality, stage 4, some stage 4s are easy to take care of, and other stage 4s are, you're working hard to keep them alive. So it's uniquely, everyone is uniquely an individual, and that comes to detoxification and everything as well. So at one level, a blanket statement doesn't fit. But at another level, yeah, you have to have generalities, and you have to have basic a system set up and protocols and things like that. The art of detoxification, of course, is individuality. And we're all as individual as the stars above. So that's how that art of working with the individuals and working with their emotional states, working with their systems, because as we did this eye on this gentleman this morning, he's getting to the point of gastroparesis where if he eats anything, he throws up. His stomach doesn't want anything, nothing goes down, nothing digests. That's a serious level to get into. So sometimes you have to back up real slow. You have to sip on fresh applesauce with cinnamon in it or something and chew slowly and maybe have a little spoonful every 15 minutes or something. Oh yeah, and the herbs too. Sometimes you have to just use herbs to open this up. So some people can get themselves in some extreme places that we have to delicately work them out of. And it's just part of learning in the art of this level of working with curing people. Peace in all directions. I like that, Linda. Peace in all directions. Peace to you, my love. P.S. I have an acquaintance who has angiosarcoma. Wow. Which has been explained to me as cancer of the blood. Angio? Wow, that's interesting. Never heard of that. You get T-cell lymphomas. I mean, you get a lot of different type of blood cell type cancers and stuff like that. But angiocarcinoma, or sarcoma, angiosarcoma. I've never heard of that. I would be immediately thinking heart cancer, where I would be thinking. Of course, I told her that eating raw would straighten that condition out, but instead she opted for surgery. Opt for surgery for blood? That reminds me of a heart cancer. But all right, so if it's a blood cancer, how is surgery going to help this? Going to remove the spleen or something? Let me see. But instead, she opted for surgery. I don't know how surgery can be useful on one's blood. Good question. I have the same question. It's what's out there. There are so many people I meet who are diagnosed with cancers of various parts of the body who panic and immediately opt for surgery. And when I tell them about how raw vegan can not just treat but cure the problem, they act like I'm a wacko. Yeah. Welcome to the world of reality. They they want to hold up a crucifix or something to ward me off, like a vampire moose. People just don't get it. Well, you see the struggle I've been in for how many years? And thank God there's you guys. And that's why it's nice to have a group of us that are friends and that share and that work together. And it could be thousands of us. Who cares how many of us? But that's the problem. You've got so many people that are at levels of consciousness that they can't get out of, that they're stuck in, and they're fearful. And this is why the spiritual side is important as well, because one has to lift themselves up to see the world of truth. When you get lost in these lower levels like we have, then you opt for surgeries and things like that on stuff that's like, you did what? But the problem with this is then it compromises the lives of these people even more. I'm not negating a need for a good surgeon. Don't get me wrong. I love good surgeons. I had a good one for my knee when I fell off of a telephone pole. So I really appreciated that. Lasted for years. So I really appreciated that. Uh-oh, big order coming in. But, don't give up. And don't lose hope in your fellow man, because there is hope. It's just unconsciousness. And the more that we feed this consciousness in there, and there's some big things coming that I think will help all of you. If this happens like we hope it does, the world will know a lot more about what we're doing, and you'll have an easier time at it. Promise. But this is part of the way it is. It's a sad thing too, and the sad thing here is I get clients, or we get clients in here that they listen and they seem to get it, turn around, go the other way, And I've seen people die that had come in my office, easy do. I think I told you about a young woman that had a pea-sized tumor in one of her, a pea, 8 millimeters or something, not even, maybe it was 9 millimeters, that's not even a pea, very, very small. They ended up doing chemo on her, I don't know if they did radiation, and killed her, for nothing, I just, you can imagine why I have a mouth like I do. And it's just not that. It's just that I'm at the point where it's not a joke anymore. We have serious, and I mean we have some serious concerns with the allopathic community and their philosophies and the health of the public, because you can brainwash everybody to think that you have the answers and you're one of the top killers on the planet. The stats don't go with their propaganda. Somebody's getting an edible. But anyway, sweetheart, it sounds like, Linda, you know what you're doing. Sounds what you're up against. Don't lose faith in your fellow man. Just keep working, people, because we're all working hard too, and they'll get it. They'll get it when they wake up more and more and more. And if they don't, then you just have to realize cause and effect. This is karma. Your heart did the right thing. You did the right thing. You were giving. That's all you need to do. You don't want to bring it back if they don't take it. Here, this is a gift. If you choose to use it, fine. If you don't, fine. I'm giving it to you, and I don't expect anything back from it. It's about how you have to live that. Because sometimes you give and give and give, and then nobody wants to receive. That's why I'm saying about getting too strict. You can get strict on yourself, but try to remember getting strict on others generally doesn't take you too many places. People walk away, back up. So I've always been real gentle and real simplistic in my approach, because it serves no one well to talk over people's heads. And it only serves us all well if we all know what's up and how we can all work together to get everybody better. It doesn't serve us well to talk negatively about each other, because those that talk about others like that are lost themselves. That's the problem, because when you wake up, you don't talk about people anymore, because you realize that everything is on these journeys and that it's all God. And so who are you talking to? Just getting into this. Oh, good. Gala. Left below, right is next. Interesting. I'm curious what you are. Just a little history. Been in an abusive relationship and haven't been able to go to doctor like I should. I'm having migraines several times a week, but worst of all, I'm having real trouble with wrist and fingers, accompanied by left upper thigh pain. All right, so let's stop right there for a minute. I was raised on migraines, and let me tell you, I have a compassion for anybody with migraines because they're not fun. They're not fun at all. But when I started cleaning my body out, I got my stomach cleaned up, I got my sinuses cleaned up, I didn't have any migraines anymore. So I highly recommend that you get into the body and clean it up a little bit. Get the pressures out of it, get the obstructions out of it. Well, obstructions fall under acidosis. So as you start to eat properly, when you get into your fruits and your berries and your melons, your grape foods like that, it starts to remove and hydrate. It starts to remove obstructions and hydrate you. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. And for a simple change, you're eating food. There's plenty of fruits. There's plenty of berries to pick from. Plenty of melons. So you've got plenty of food to eat. So no one should bitch about eating food to get well. The types of food, but, you know, if someone's sitting there with a big tumor, you can sit and bitch about the diet all day long, but you've got a tumor. And you're either going to pull it or dissolve it out in the lymphatic system way, or you ain't going to do well, because no one does well with tumors just watching them, and no one does well radiating or trying to get them with chemo, because that doesn't get rid of tumors. That doesn't get rid of stagnation of a fluid. How does taking another fluid that's even more acidic by far than the fluid that is stagnant help a stagnation of fluid that's acidic? It doesn't. It fries you like a piece of fried chicken. But that's their philosophy. Fry you up, and if you still survive and you're still standing, they did what they could to save you. And that kind of philosophy's got to leave the planet. That's an antiquated bull crap type of thinking. Ooh. Oh, this isn't good. My fingers go numb and get very, very cold. Then within minutes they warm up quickly, turn red, and start swelling. Wow. Well, you know, first of all, you want to get into your kidneys, your adrenals, and your lymphatic system and clean your back down there. Get your gut cleaned out. Work on your neural lymphatic points down your back and get this out of here, up here in the neck. And you might want to go to a chiropractor and have him put your spine back a little better, because it sounds to me like you've got a little crook there going on, which is caused by the lymphatic system. Again, remember, muscles hold the spine in shape, and when muscles become backed up lymphatically, one pulls the other one. Absolutely. I don't like this because it sounds like you're getting pressure on blood and lymphatic vessels. I don't like that really well because of the blood side and nerve vessels. So I'm a little concerned with that. But this is where you get swelling and obstructions and that sort of thing. All of this that we're talking about causes these sort of things. So there's only one relief when you start getting obstructed to the point that you're getting numbness, your nerve is getting blocked, and you're getting numbness on the other side of that. You got to remove the obstructions. And so going into the body, what's making you stiff and obstructed? Well, there's only one answer to that, and that is the lymphatic system. That's your fluid-based system. That's a lipid-based system that becomes very cationic when kidneys cease to filter. And you have to go backwards and fix this whole system if you want remedy. You can't half-ass it. Pardon my French, but you can't halfway do it, or that's what you get. You want to focus, go through this, get it done, and you're on the other side. You got a good life, and you're free. So I don't like that. In losing strength in my wrist, and they're getting hard to move at times. See, what you're doing is you're losing neurological function down your arms, and then things are stiffening up, things are getting acidic, which is an implication that, one, you're getting a reduced lymph drainage out of that, if you had any at all, and maybe some blood restrictive problems due to pressure from the lymph system here. Oh, this gets better. My neck and back are severe as well. See what I'm telling you? And you're going to pull your spine out, or you're going to get compression or herniation, and that just makes it worse. So you got to fix this. So you want to get up here, and this is upper. So the lungs can be involved. Anything upper here, this is your upper vertebrae, that's upper here. Thyroids and things like that. So you can actually suppress all that with everything that's going on here. I knew you were stiff and tight. You had to be. I've also been told I have an 8 millimeter mass on my liver. Well, that's a little bitty thing. All right, 8 millimeters is very, very small. And to call it a mass, this is probably bigger than 8 millimeter. But that's 8 millimeters. So it's funny, they told you have a little bitty thing, but they use a mass to scare you. Unless it's an 8 centimeter mass, which would be a lot different. But an 8 millimeter mass is real, real small. Smaller than a pea on my liver, but no one really talks about what it is or has ever addressed it because it's so small. But you want to address it because it's tied to the same reason you have stiff necks and shoulders and why you're getting numbness down the arms and things. And you got to remove this stiffness or tightness, or how are you going to get well from that? How are you going to relieve the pressure that's closing off your nerve response to your fingers and stuff, and maybe even blood flow, and maybe even liver? How are you going to do that? You know you're stagnant here. So to have stagnation here means that your kidneys aren't filtering and your adrenals are down. So you got to work on kidneys and adrenals, and by golly, get yourself sweating. If you're low thyroid, get it up there. You know, you've got glandulars, you've got herbs, and you've got cleaning the thyroid out. Because if you're tight up here lymphatically, you probably have polyps in the thyroid. Who knows? But it's enough to say that your congestion is up into the thyroid as well. Could you please tell me what I'm facing? You're facing some serious crap if you don't get this done. Can I be truthful with you, Caleb? If you don't get this opened up and filtering, you're in trouble. Because once you start popping tumors up here, there's no survival rate to those allopathically. If you freak out and go that way, you're not going to be a happy camper. Let me tell you, when they start messing with your throat, world is lost. Seems not to be too much fun anymore, guys. So there's, your choices today make your future. One other thing. At times, chest is very heavy and hard to breathe, with pain that shoots from front to back and then from back to front. I figure it's anxiety, man, more than anxiety, honey. And if it could be some anxiety there, that's your adrenal glands. You know your adrenal glands are involved to have this much lymphatic stagnation. But you've got a lot of acidosis going on. So you can have all kinds of spasms and things moving around on you. Oh, yeah, shooting pains here and there. You've got stiff tightness. You're obviously suppressing neural function to your fingers and hands, and maybe even a little blood at times. So you want to open this up. And there's only one way. You have stagnation of a sewer system, and until you fix the eliminative organs and bring hydration to that sewer system, there ain't nothing you can do. You could put cold packs on this, but activity, you might feel a little better having some massage, but it'll just be back the next day or two. Fruits, berries, and melons, my dear one, get on there and get honking, because it's working its way up here, and you don't want tumors up in here. You don't want lung tumors or anything else, honey. Your shortness of breath could be from the adrenal glands. Could be edema in the lungs. Not what I would want to hear. There's several factors that you don't want to hear. So you really, really want to just get in here and get your feet on the path and get yourself rocking your boat fast down the road to detox, loosen yourself up, get yourself sweating, open up all your doors, But so you have to go on for me, it's too hard to tell each case here the protocol to go on. So if I say 14-week protocol, just look at that. You can augment it to suit yourself. You can have me write you one or get with a counselor. But you're always going to go after the lymph system. To go after the lymphatic system, you want to be on 2 kidney formulas. My opinions. Tincture capsule, you want to be on an adrenal. Initially, if you have low blood pressure, which comes with low blood pressure, low blood sugar a lot, guys. A lot of times you see them following each other, organ and glands, kidneys and adrenals. So a lot of times low blood pressure, low blood sugar. High blood pressure, high blood sugar. A lot of times you'll see that in that way. I think I just got myself off here a little bit. But anyway, you want to do 2 kidneys. I would do an adrenal. Initially, I would do an adrenal 400 if you have a normal blood pressure or lower. I would do an adrenal 400 for, say, a couple of bottles. Then I would switch to adrenal hitchhike with licorice root. Okay? Hitchhike an adrenal formula with licorice root, particularly with normal or low blood pressure. High blood pressure, don't do the licorice root. All right? So, you're off the kidneys and adrenals. Okay, now you want to hit the lymph system itself. Initially, for 2 weeks, we only have 1 lymphatic formula. That gives a chance for everything to kind of get moving and stuff. But you eventually want to move to a lymph node formula, in my opinion, and a lymphatic capsule. You can start out with lymphatic 1. That's my favorite one, but lymphatic 5 and lymph node 5 are the strongest ones. So you might want to use lymph node 5 for a month. You can use lymph node 5 with lymphatic 1 capsules, and then come off of lymphatic 5 and change it, or lymph node 5 and change it to lymph node 3. But you want to go down that road. The second thing, you're going to also want maybe do an endocrine gland formula. That way it'll trip up your thyroid, parathyroid, your pituitary. Because the other thing is you want to sweat. I would do the liver gallbladder formula with these for about a month or so, and then slip to the skin formula. If you've got things in the lung, do lungs number 2. If you've got things in the liver, do the liver formula. You see where I'm going with that? But you always want to be also on a stomach and bowel number and a GI room. You want to clean up your gut. So these are just a few focuses you want to have when you're going after this, because you have to open this up or tumors are coming. And compression of the spine, major pains down the arm. It just keeps going worse and worse and worse, guys. So unless you turn it around, no one's going to turn these things around for you. You know, you got to turn them around yourself, or we'll help you turn them around. But the world doesn't know what's up here, which is strange. So, Gyla, you want to fix yourself up, honey? You'll put yourself on a fruit and berry and melon diet, where you don't have these kind of problems, and open everything up. Get your kidneys filtering. You might want to dry fast for 24 hours. See if that'll open up your kidney function. Hi, just found out I have allergies, asthma, and nose polyps, and went vegan a month ago. I'm wondering what I'm eating, like grains or something that is making it worse. I went to the doctor, and he gave me pregnant. Oh, I think I read this one yesterday. Brooke, yeah, I read this one yesterday. So this is another one. Same one. So I covered this in the last video there, but let me just say this about that. First of all, allergies, asthma, and nose polyps, all to the lymphatic system. Asthma, however, is a neurological weakness from the adrenals. So you got to fix the adrenal glands and get your myelin sheaths up to fix asthma. You know, you can clean the lungs out, but that's just mucus. The catch with the COPD there is the neurological system. Everything else is lymph. Nose polyps, all that's lymph. Vegan diet is not powerful enough. This is detoxification needs. And this is regenerative detoxification. Fruits, berries, and melons. Remember, nature withdraws food. At least you can eat food. See what I'm saying? But Brooke, you need to go down there and get those cleaned up of there. I addressed that on the last video, though. Hello, my name is Jacob. Hey, Jacob. And I've recently, for the past 4 months or so, been struggling with what is now an all-body parasitic infection as well as candida. I've tried many different detoxification methods, all of which have been to no avail. Currently, I've been eating only berries, melons, grapes, and oranges, and was wondering on how I could reverse this extremely unpleasant issue. Well, Jacob, next time write me in and give me a little more info about parasitic infection because I don't know what you're talking about. If you think you have, well, of course, most people do have fungus, which is candida. I mean, the fungal community includes moles, warts, candida, all of that. So, that's an adrenal gland issue. That's a fermentation issue. So you wouldn't want to do starches like grains because that would be a feed to the fungal community, to be honest with you. Very few humans can metabolize that level of sugar without the need of the fungal community and fermentation. So that's why everybody that eats the starches, they just love starches. Whenever you have fungal problems, starches is your number one food. That's why it's hard to go raw when you're full of fungus because you're craving the cheeses or the breads or the starches, the pastas and things like that. The oatmeals and things like that. But you can't do them because that won't get you anywhere. That'll actually slow or stop detoxification. So you wouldn't want to do that. I would do on parasite, if this is truly a parasitic invasion, I would do our Parasite G capsules, and I would do about 4 or 5 capsules about 4 times a day. That's for any bigger worms, flukes, not so much fluke. Parasite M will get the flukes, but this is for tapes, rounds, anything that's pretty big. But it is also, there's some antifungals in there. Parasite M, I would take probably the liquid of that one, and I'd do a dropper and a half at least 4 times a day as well. And hit yourself for about a month and a half on that program of doing that. At the same time, you want to clean your bowels up, move your lymph system, clean the terrain, clean your culturing medium. See, because it takes a while. You're not just going to detox for a couple of weeks or a month and get rid of candida and all this kind of stuff. We have so much fungus in us from head to toe, and you're always going to have some because there's always some degree of fermentation going on in the human body. There's always fermentation and putrefaction in septic systems. If you're not a protein eater, you can ixay the putrefaction, which obviously is worse than fermentation, in my opinion. So that's what I would do. I'd hit myself hard with those 2 formulas, but at the same time, I'm going to think, look, I've got to clean my body out because I'm culturing these. So, and where do you culture your worst parasitic involvements? In your healthy kitchen? Nope. In the sewer system. And what's the body's sewer system? Your lymphatic system, absolutely. So you see how it keeps drawing us back to that system? No matter how we look at that, it keeps drawing us back to the sewer system. But most of our problems are sewer system related. Acidosis, swelling, tumors, inflammation. Hi, Dr. Morse. I really need your help with my skin condition to see if there is any more I could be doing. I stopped topical steroid creams 3 years ago after 15. Wow. If you've been 15 years using steroids, I would spend some time working on my adrenals. I would use the Adrenal 400 glandular for probably a month and a half, and then I would shift to your adrenal herbs with hitchhike of licorice root. Because 15 years on a steroid, you're going to wreck your adrenals. I'm just saying. Might be why you're struggling. Because when you knock your adrenals out, you can't seem to get your kidneys filtering. You've got your kidney and adrenals are twins. They're mom and dad or brother and sister or however you wish to look at them. But they are a couple that has to be together. The neurotransmitters of dopamine is essential for filtration. The sodium-potassium balances are essential. Phosphorus levels. All these things are essential in keeping proper kidney function and filtration. And so that's going to put a hurting on you because of that use for so long. And it's going to suppress it that when you do start fixing it, boom! And you can't get mad, because you have to realize that they have given you suppressive agents for 15 years. You're lucky you don't have some type of skin cancer. Because they've suppressed this system for so long, you can imagine that'd be like having a barn full of horses, and they keep having babies. You have mares and signs, so you keep having babies, and there's horses, and the barn gets full and full and full and full and full, and suddenly it explodes open with horses blowing out all over the place. I don't know, but you've locked Steroids lock everything in your body. They do no one any favors. It's better to run through the pain and get it out of you than to steroid suppress it for a long time and then pay that price. Because as a rule, when you do this and then you start detoxifying, kaboom! Explosion. You start having things all over, head to toe, skin's breaking out, itching like crazy. So this is part of the problem. There are, detox isn't this sweet little violin playing and you're having an angel lift you up and carry you to Wellville. It can be hell to pay. Reversing what you did to yourself, and even unconsciously, reversing what all we put in there and all the residues. I mean, most people in healing crisis get out green, black, brown. Where does that come from? Okay, so you just have to realize burning dirty fuels and burning chemistry that the body doesn't want, foreign protein. And it could be a glass of milk that is foreign protein to the human body, particularly cow's milk, bovine milk, goat's milk, wrong species. You want to drink milk, go get a female primate. Now, and all hell broke loose through my skin. Oh yeah, I bet. Oh yeah, I've seen this, my friend, for all my life. I know exactly what you went through. I've been on raw food diet, and your herbs and my kidneys are now filtering. Thank God. Good PRAS. Good job. Keep them filtering. Keep going. My question is, even though I have kidney filtration, why is it still pushing acid through my skin? Well, because right under this epidermis, dermis, you have subcutaneous. And that's a thick level where lymph can just get backed up there just as bad as the kidneys. So you probably have a thick level right under that, in that subcutaneous levels of the skin, which is real close to the lymph node areas as well. I mean, look at your eyes. Take a picture of your eyes and look at your outer rim. Look on that skin to see how much you might have or how big of a skin ring you've got. But yeah, this has just been backing up and being suppressed under there, so you could have quite a bit subcutaneously yet in that skin yet to open up. So don't get discouraged. Do not get discouraged. Get focused, and then you will be successful. Take what comes and keep on going, because there's nothing perfect in detox. Detox is not like I said, an angelic carrying you to a golden wisdom temple. This is serious stuff, and you could have some serious symptoms out of this. This is a tough way to go. This is why everybody isn't jumping on the wagon. Only those of you that have the strength, the awakening, those of you that are more advanced, have a lot of times have the ability to do these things. Some of you, the souls that are, haven't been around that long, they're not going to be at this level. And there's plenty of you, you're going to see people are just not interested in this level of thinking. Don't get upset. This level of thinking is not for everybody, even though everybody can benefit, no question. But it isn't for everybody. You have all this huge karmatic move going on where people are working off the things they created. And you can't do anything about that, nor do you want to. You just want to sit back and constantly give the love that you're getting from God, the love that you're opening up to, the happiness and joy you're feeling as all the obstructions are being cleaned away, the pain is coming out. And if it isn't, you keep digging in and digging in and digging in until you get it out, because there's no other way to do it. You can't treat anything anymore. You have to realize what's up. I get weeping, oozing patches and still have dry skin over. Oh yeah. And remember, you have miles of this. That's the problem. There are miles of these levels in terms of lymph pathways, subcutaneous pathways. It just takes a while. I'd definitely I'd hit it hard though, get myself a sweating, try to, no matter what I saw, just get everything out. When the worst patches, use the burn salve if you want. Use salt water to help with the symptoms a little bit, to help cool it off a little bit. So you want to get some Celtic salt or real salt, you can do it in the bathtub, you can do it in the ocean. But you want to have some salt water to help you there a little bit with that. And make sure those kidneys and adrenals are constantly going. I clean up my bowels. Maybe that'll help you a little bit. Definitely make sure you have enough temperature to sweat. You know, I know you don't want to sweat, but you really need to open up this avenue. And you see that oozy stuff? That's acidic. You know, put that oozy stuff on your skin, and what happens? It'll get you real red and blistering, and that's you know. The same thing if you don't change a baby's diaper in a timely manner. This is all acids, and you get to see what acids do to you. You know, and it's not fun. And all that oozing is that acid fluid. Oh yeah, it's like taking a big boil, popping it, and all that. Remember, I told you this guy had a psoriasis so bad in Texas, he'd squeeze it and come out like whipping cream. Ah, but that's what you get into. You know, we have a dirty job. You know, you ever see that Dirty Jobs on that? I like that guy. But there's some dirty But, and the body can get real dirty inside, guys. It's a food processing machine that's rarely cleaned. Imagine using your food processor and never cleaning it. Well, that's what's going on to the human body, except we're processing the wrong food. Imagine processing food that sticks to your juicer, your container walls, and you can't get them off because they stuck there. You know, I mean, this is real interesting stuff. At least when you're doing raw, you can clean it with water. Not so when you get into acids and lipids. I am on 100% fruit, currently on a 30-day grape juice fast, and I'm going to tell you, I think you're doing perfect. That is exactly what I'd have in my mind, and I think you're doing really well. No matter what you see, keep going, because what you see is working its way out of you after 15 years of them keeping it in you. So you had 15 years of suppression, so just give it a little time, my friend, because 15 years of suppressing with steroids can be a huge nightmare. That's why I'm hoping that you guys, or all of you guys with the skins and things, you get yourself cleaned up and then go on what do you call it? You're going on a sabbatical to teach the young people what not to do when you wake up to skin problems when you're growing up or at any age. So you're on a good formula, and also on 2 kidney formulas, 2 lymphatic formulas, thyroid tonic, liver, gallbladder, stomach, and bowel number 2, healthy pituitary, and alternate between adrenal gland tonic and endocrine balance. I'm also on adrenal granulin. I love what you're doing. You're on good. You're doing good. You're doing good. You don't need to do so much adrenal work. Maybe, you know, come off the glandulars after a little while. You don't need on them so much, but I don't blame you. After being on steroids this long, I have to say that you're probably doing everything right. You know, because you just make, you know, it's like one medical doctor said, we talked about it on the video after the lady told me. The lady said, my medical doctor told me, yes, my adrenal glands will go to sleep on the steroids, but they'll wake up stronger. They'll wake up stronger? How? You've been on steroids all the time. How do you wake up stronger when someone kicks your butt? You know, it's just the crap that comes out of some of these mouths are interesting to me. I am asthmatic, so you know adrenals obviously is your big key, and then these guys suppress that even more. I'm surprised you didn't have more asthmatic problems. Well, you can feel a little up on a steroid sometimes. You notice most of the steroids they're using are acetates. You remember when they went after that company from claiming they had tainted steroids because they gave a lot of people meningitis. Some of them died from this steroid use. And I wondered, because when they showed it on the news, it was an acetate. Well, that already tells you the category that steroid is in, and I don't know how you can make an anti-inflammatory out of an acetate. That really is confusing to me. So I don't know. I'm not a whiz in chemistry, but you guys know what acetates and acetones are, right? You ladies use acetate all the time or tone to keep the strip the fingernail polish off your fingernails. So it seems to me they were giving an acidic steroid right into the spinal fluid, which goes right to where? Knowing that the spinal fluid is part of the matrix of cleaning the brain. So to me, that lab was just being used as a guinea pig and to be fined and prosecuted, when really it's the pharmaceutical companies who are using acetate steroids. Ow! Oh well. But asthmatic, yep. Oh, look at this. I am asthmatic, so also take lungs 2, brain and nerve 2, upper circulation, and spasm calm for that. Well, I would use the spasm calm when you need it. You can only use that when you need it for like an inhaler, because it'll allow you to continue to expectorate. But you don't need to stay on these things too long, though. However, if you're a young person, I love the brain and nerve and upper circulation. You'll love where you're going with that one. So as long as you can afford these things, you can play with them all you want. But keep that focus on the kidneys and the lymphatic system for sure. I like the brain and nerve too. I like the upper. So I like your focus here. You're writing yourself some pretty good protocol here. I like this. Also, the itch is unbearable. I know. You know what? Like I say, salt water. There is not calendula. Hang on. They were using it for itching. Oh my God, I forgot. What herb were they using for itching? It'll come to me sometime. Anyway, you might want to look that up. But there are herbs for itching. We have a formula in here for itching, because that's exactly what all of us are involved in when we deal with fungus. I've got it too. I go up and down with mine. Depends on what you eat and all that. But when you have weak adrenal glands, that's almost synonymous with fungus, because you tend to ferment your sugars instead of metabolize them properly. I mean, it's just, I know the itch is unbearable, so do everything you can to do that. Look for some anti-itch creams. We don't want any suppressive creams, also. They have to be all herbal. Calendula, no. It's on the tip of my tongue. I take Parasite M and apply antifungal salve. Okay, topically, but still itches like I know, because this is down end. I'd saturate myself with Parasite M and G. I would. I just saturate myself as much as possible with that, and I hope that you'll get this out sooner than later. I don't know. That's one big problem that we have with high fungal people with the skin problems, is the itching. You can literally itch your skin right off. No, we're very aware of this problem. That one I wish I could help you with more than I know myself, to be honest with you. I just saturate your body with Parasite M. I'd say a dropper and a half, 4 or 5 times a day. You might want to hit on the G2 and really hit your body hard and see if you can't get this itch out of there sooner. See if salt water will help you at all with that sort of thing. If anybody has any suggestions out there for extreme itching when they do that, I'd sure like to hear about it. Is there anything else you can suggest I should do in taking it to heal, other than doing your baths and stuff like that? I mean, you could do a cold sheet treatment to pull this out even faster. If you don't know what a cold sheet treatment is, call them up. They'll send you that. We should have it. We have it in our books. We have it on our website, I think. Richard Schultz promotes that quite a bit. But you have to be careful with it. If you're neurologically weakened, like if you have asthma too neurologically weakened, I'd be very careful with cold sheet treatment. Because the hotter you get, the more neurologically weak you get. So you have to be careful with that. It's not a recommendation from MS and Lou Gehrig's and Parkinson's and palsies and stuff like that. But a good cold sheet treatment, boy, that'll pull the crap out of your skin, and that might help your itching a lot. So you might want to look into that. That's like taking a real hot bath. You can put mustard in the bath. You can put some things in the bath, but you got to put some tape some privates. But you get yourself so hot in the bath. I mean, you go up there almost like a sweat lodge. You get way up there, almost, where you're almost seeing stars and moons. So you want to be careful not to dehydrate. You want to be real careful with those. And then at the same time, you have a sheet in the freezer. When you come out, you want somebody to wrap the sheet out of the freezer around your body, and you go to bed. And look what your sheet looks like the next morning. And notice it's cold sheet. There's alkaline. Yeah, try that and see if that'll help. And it's a good interest. Oh, listen to this. I also take daily salt baths with thyme, essential oil, and foot break. Oh, wow. Skin doesn't seem, well, you know what? You have to keep working this because you remember 15 years of suppression of subcutaneous. So it just takes a while to hydrate and get all this loosened up. I like everything you're doing there. So everything we're talking about, see if I've mentioned anything else you can do. Please help as I am at a loss of what else to do. Lots of love. Thank you. Thank you. I am too. This is one of our problems. So any of you guys have any help for this individual, please let us know, because we have the same problem. And other than doing these things, you might do the cold sheet treatment. Might pull you out quicker, because this has a aggressive draw to it. Your sheet can look almost black. So you can get an aggressive draw on that. Might help. Other than going up on your dosages, saturate your body with Parasite G. But you realize all these years, fungus has been having a party in you and growing and growing and growing. You fermented with all this suppression. So you can imagine, you got to work through this nightmare and don't give up. Just keep working through it, because there's no other answers on the planet for that, to be honest with you. Wish I could help you more. Hello, Dr. Morse. I enjoy watching your videos. Find them very informative. Thank you. I'm 36. 36-year-old male, 5'3", huh? Interesting. Pituitary, have to be. I'm 36-year-old male, 5'3", 130 pounds. I've been dealing with asthma all my life since I was born. Okay, so again, we have talking about a lot of asthma here in the last few videos we've done. And so you really start to see asthma when you see your nerve rings in your eyes. But you know immediately asthma has a neurological component to it. Even though we're talking about lungs, the nervous system runs and turns on everything. It's like when the nervous system doesn't turn on, your lights don't turn on. You know what I mean? So that nervous system's everything. And of course, breathing is a neurological event, as is peristalsis, as in heart. So these are neurological events as well as other factors. So not only can your lungs get full of mucus, they can get neurologically weak, and that's where you get the asthmas and the COPDs. So the first thing is obvious. You have to hit the adrenals like Pla says. Hitting the adrenals and really trying to bring that up, because you've got to get your myelin sheaths and your autonomic nervous system up and running better. In thinking about the adrenal glands, and you're 5'3", you want to think about your pituitary and any relationship that has to the adrenals, because that relationship is there, plus it's also there with all the other endos. So you might want to spend a month on the pituitary herbal, and while I'm doing that, I'd still do the endocrine gland. I would still do the adrenals. Something you might want to take a look at is fill yourself out a health questionnaire. I think we have one online, and just take a look at yourself. A lot of times one doesn't assess themselves well. Well, get our health questionnaire, because it's about 12, 15 pages, and fill it out, and then look at where you said yes and where you said no under what heading. It'll tell you what part of your body is in trouble and where you're having troubles. Picture of your eyes and correlate that. Oh, look. Oh, yeah, there's my kidneys. Oh, there's my adrenals. Look how bad they are. Or look how good they are. Oh, they're not that bad. Or, oh, man. See, and so you look at all that to know where you are in the scheme of your body, because it's not you, it's your body, and where it is and what you're going to need to do to get it well. You know the answers to it, but the process is a beast of another color. There's a process to this. This isn't a fairy godmother, you're done, good, thank you. I wish that existed. But this is roll up the sleeves, get in there, and time doing it. This time doing it. But if you relax, it doesn't take long for the body to regenerate itself. It's amazing how quick it can do that after how many genetic generations are behind you and your lifestyle and your mom's limp and all of that. Okay, I've been dealing with asthma my whole life. Not as severe now as I was with a child, but still have it. Also very allergic to dust and molds. See how that's all tied to the lymph system as well? Yeah, this is all synonymous. It's also tied together. Your adrenals, your kidneys, your lymphatic system, allergies, asthma, all these sort of things like this. You're just seeing what your weaknesses are giving you. Not a disease. It's just showing you where your weaknesses are, and you just have to go in and fix them. Trees, grass, and seafood, crustaceans. In my late teens, I began having anxiety and nervousness. So now you know, right here tells you right here that your adrenals are really poor. Really going down, my friend. You're in the teens, and you're having anxiety and nervousness. So that shows you that you were probably born with a neurological weakness, born with myelin sheath weakness, born with the adrenals down. So you just go and fix them. You know, you go and fix them, and how you fix them is the same with everybody. You change your diet to the diet we've been talking about. You go on herbs or glandulars. You work with your adrenals. You work with your kidneys, because you have to. And you'll see that's going to run you in. Once you get all the inflammation, you're going to see the low blood pressure this is going to give you. So I started working out to relieve some of the stress, but until this day, I regret taking protein. I know. I tell you what. You and me both, let me tell you. And people don't get it. They beat me up for this all the time, and it's like, protein isn't your friend, guys. I mean, it's not your enemy, but that baby has to know, you have to know when and when not to do proteins. We don't think about that. I said, so I started working out to relieve some of the stress, but until this day, I regret taking protein shakes, because throughout the 13 years, 98 to 2011, drinking them in the morning on top of eating starches for lunch, holy moly, man. Yeah, not good. Yep, you see what's happened. Now, look at this individual's journey. And you can imagine that when you wake up at whatever age, you see you're 36 now, so through the teens and everything, you were filling your body full of mucus and acids. So now when you wake up to that, you have to reverse all that, and just don't get upset when all this has to come out. That's all it is. And but you know, you have to do it. I was eating starches for lunch, meat and rice for dinner, and I started having eczema around the outer part of my nostrils. See, as time went on, it spread to the inner nostril and on my upper lip, and so on and so forth. Face only. Also began having vertigo for several years, to the point. See, so you can follow yourself and show you. Oh, I'm gonna have to get this. This is myself. Like I said, Grand Central Station. This poor lady, she wants to kill herself. Some cop shot her son right in the head for no reason. You know, you get these cops out there that are, oh my God. We got to redo the way law enforcement is acclimated and take police off the cars. Those in America are not. We're not a police state, or are we? Sorry about that. You know, you have a lot of hurting people for all kinds of reasons. All right, so I'm sorry to interfere. So where were we here? Okay, so also began having vertigo for several years, to the point. So you know vertigo is coming back here. You're starting to see all this coming at the lips and the nostril, and then the vertigo is coming. So you know that your lymph system is getting stagnant upstairs, and you want to do something about that. When you start involving the cerebellum, that's when things don't get good, because there's the optic nerves that cross right back there. So you've got eye visions can be blurry. Of course, pressure in the head, not fun. Vertigo, equilibrium, dizziness, strange eye stars, moons, all kinds of seeing all kinds of things. All kinds of problems can happen with that. Dropping feet, all kinds, works right down the back. So a lot of things happen when the cerebellum's involved. They're like, ooh, no, 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 no. So you want to use cold packs the best you can when you need that. But get that lymph, the neurolymphatics, candle the ear. Start opening the doors and moving the neurolymphatic points, and just start getting everything moving. Get those kidneys filtering, get the skin sweating. Then all these acids have their doorway out. Then relief is at hand. No matter how long that takes you, there is relief on the other side of that door. You don't have endless acids, acidosis. If you're doing everything right, there is a point, there is a time where things will shift for you and the body will start heading down to Wellville even faster. Okay. Now, where I started to have I started to have head pressure until this day, my doctor recommended I go to an allergist for allergy shots. 5 years. Do you see the level that you guys are at compared to the level now where allopathy's still at? Do you see how much you guys have learned and grown from this? A big, big, big deal. I will just give you allergy shots for a highly inflamed cerebellum. So this guy did have 5 years on that, but that did not help at all. Of course not. Of course not. You know, what you suppress today is your nightmare from heck tomorrow. Absolutely. I was struggling with anxiety disorder. Of course, they didn't know enough to tell you your adrenals were down, which was tripping down your kidneys, which is tripping up your lymphatic problems, and then all you're seeing here is your lymphatic problems and stuff, and so they didn't know how to relate that to you. But then one day, February 2011, I had a crazy nervous breakdown. Like I was losing my mind. My body was telling me something was wrong because I felt overly sensitive emotionally and psychologically. My body felt like it was burning internally. Sounds like your adrenals took a big dump, my friend. That's exactly what that sounds like. Your adrenals went down, and then all hell broke loose. Because that's what happens when your adrenals go down. All hell breaks loose. You feel that systemic burn? That's systemic acidosis. That's not fun either. You know, I've said this before. You could be cold and burning up simultaneously. Why would that be? Cold from a weak thyroid and burning up from systemic acidosis. Absolutely. Went to my doctor. He told me my blood calcium levels was at 10.5 and found calcium oxalate. Kidney stones? Well, you could have kidney stones, but to have blood elevated calcium, yeah, you don't really want to know what that could be, you know, tell you the truth. I mean, it could be anything. You might not be utilizing calcium, that sort of thing, and of course, bone cancer. But I'm sure you don't have that, but it's enough to say that you're way too acidic. You're bonding wrong. Crystals in my urine. Then I went to an endocrinologist. He said it had to do with my parathyroid. Oh, at least an endocrinologist admitted there's a parathyroid then. The only reason I could think of at the time was the protein shakes, because they were very high in calcium. 110% for the next 2 years. I'd cut out the protein shakes and dairy, and my blood calcium dropped back down to normal. After struggling with that, I started dealing. Good thing it was just that. But if you have elevated bone calcium, the concern would be bone cancer, if you weren't taking a supplement of that. But it showed that you weren't utilizing it. That's why he mentioned the parathyroid gland, is that if you're ingesting calcium and it still makes your blood calcium level high, you're not utilizing it, where would you go for that? And that would be the hormone involved in calcium utilization, which would be the parathyroid glands. After struggling with that, I started dealing with constipation about every 3 to 4 days. Well, when your adrenals go down, what else goes down? What do your adrenal glands do? Okay, so you have two parts of your adrenal glands, right? You have the inner and the outer. Duality again, right? So the inner, the medulla, the inner core, the medulla oblongata, the medulla, right? That's neurotransmitters. Well, neurotransmitters is just what they are. They're part of your transmission of magnetics across the myelin sheaths. So low neurotransmitters, low peristalsis, low breathing, low heart performance, all that implies. So, yeah, that's something we don't want any part of. So, all right. So you want to get your adrenals up, of course, to get everything turned on again. You want to turn on your adrenals. I'd start out with adrenal 400s, 1-3 times a day. If you needed more, do it up to 2-3 times a day. After about a month or so on that, I'd move to the adrenals hitchhiked with licorice, though. But you want to pull your eyes. You could have some extremely chronic adrenal glands, which would bring you into a chronic nervous system. And then as that starts to go down, your nervous system goes down, you'll start to see all the little goodies. Hard to take a deep breath, shorter breath, bowel movements are every 2, 3, 4 days, that sort of thing. So, I'd get on stomach and bowel number 3 until you get your nervous system kicked up there. So get on to number 3, it won't be long, you'll be down to number 2, and it won't be long and you'll be down to number 1. Look at this. My head pressure was still getting worse. Severe in summer, moderate in winter. And you know why moderate in winter? Because it's cold and alkaline. Why it was so severe in summer? Heat, acidic. And this is all acidosis. So whenever you get involved in heat, everything is worse. Everything is much worse. So it's bad when I wipe my forehead, it would feel greasy. Well, you're stagnant. You have stagnation of the lymph system. And nothing good comes of head pressure like that. I mean, I don't want to be alarming, but let me be alarming. You want to hit this straight and narrow and get yourself right on the path. Get do all the things we're talking about, candles, neurolymphatics, get the kidneys, the bowels, get all this open, because the longer the head pressure, the more acid, the more damage to eye tissue, brain tissue. Dang. Phew. For a while, I thought maybe it was candida, white tongue, coating, sugar craving. Well, you probably do have that in there as well. White tongue, probably more lymph congestion, gut. But could it be buildup of acidosis from too much protein? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, no, you acidified your body pretty good. And you slammed your adrenals pretty good, it sounds like. So you just get them back. You turn that around, get off the protein, fruits, berries, and melons, get your adrenals up and going, get the kidneys filtering. Turn all this around. Turn your ship around and head down toward Wellville, and everything will be good. Everything will repair itself and build itself up. I started grapes, melons, but noticed I'm feeling relaxed and tired, sleepy in a way, and kind of feel pressure in my chest and on the side of my throat, right side of trachea. Could it be that I may be backed up in the lymph system? Do you think? I would say not a little. I would say a lot. This is a lot. When you start getting into the head pressures, you're getting into the chronic levels, man. So, no, you want to get this. And does the parathyroid act up or the lymph? Well, I'll put it this way, it's probably the lymph that slammed your parathyroid. Probably the lymph that slammed your parathyroid gland there, and your thyroid, and everything else. Remember, cells are hanging out being themselves as long as they get good food and their stool is cleaned, their butt's cleaned, basically. When you start on fruit, berries and melons and herbs, it isn't always a gold road and an angelic road to Wellville. There are ups and downs and humps and bumps. Skins can explode. Tumors can grow temporarily. All kinds of ups and downs as you move your body through this. So don't get up too set about that. You're going to see some ups and downs with this, but you want to keep moving this out. You've got enough serious things here you got to deal with, because you don't ever want to keep pressure in the head. You never want to keep cerebellum problems. I mean, you're talking about quality of life in your future. And that you want to deal with, because the quality of life is vital to that. I ordered some herbs to help GI Broom capsules, brain and nervous system. You're right on. That's what I would do. Parasite M, I would. Kidneys and bladder. Just what? Good focus. Good focus. Jonas, good focus. Good focus. And kick it up if you need to. Do 2 kidney formulas if you have to. A lymphatic and a lymph node. But go after that. And get this pressure out. Candle your ears a little bit. Do 3 candles per ear. Help that pressure a little bit while you're on the route of cleaning. Don't forget to go after that GI tract real aggressively and everything. This is Paul. Hey, Paul. Hello, Dr. Morse. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing well, Paul. I have a question about omega-3 on the fruitarian diet. I already answered this one. This is a second question. I have watched hours of your videos since Jesse Reese, LMT, from Sarasota, gave me your name. Sarasota and Jesse, huh? I am in all of your body of knowledge. You are so inspiring. I am strongly considering a career change. I am a CPA and going back to school. I would become a healer. It's fun, It doesn't take that much, and there's so many suffering and hurting people. That's the thing. And the work is fun and good. It always feels good to help people get their happiness and their joy back. It's just, I think it's a fun occupation. I love helping people, and I love helping people get well. Suffering is not in the scheme of things in my world. I hate that. 2 years ago this month, I finished a 200-hour yoga teacher training. Cool beans. And I was in the best shape of my life. I was also studying the concepts of Ayurvedic in an online class. It's always fun. The beautiful thing about this, people used to bitch that a lot of our naturopathic schools were distance learning schools in the older days. You had Bastyr and Southwest, of course, but they're more medical thinkers. Their direction is totally off point. But your naturopathic schools, your true naturopathy schools, were rare. So the school I went to, you had some online, or not online as much, I had stacks and stacks of books. But then you could go to the school too. You could do both. And so now, people used to jib you for that, learning distance learning and stuff. But now everything is getting distance learning. Everything is getting online learning and stuff. Indiana University, a lot of them are doing online courses. And that's the new way is going to have to be, and it'll all go that way soon, I think, because you can no longer afford to go to school. There's no jobs out there. And so why spend all this money? And I know plenty of people that have tens of thousands, in some cases several $100,000 worth of educational bills, and they can't find work. So there's a lot of propaganda, a lot of schools, and this whole thing of getting you to be educated and to get you into the thing. I think there's going to be some serious changes to our academics. Now, if you take a look at it, and you're learning that academics can also be the one reason why we're all in trouble. You have to balance academics with spirituality, and that's what this planet's learning. That if you just follow the mind, take a look at the world at hand, and this is what you see. It leads to corruption, narcissistic elitism. On the other side, you have people fighting over religious belief systems like the ISIS or ISIL. Those people, it's like consciousness isn't allowed to go up, and you still have some of these old creepy people that they call spiritual people still controlling and suppressing the lives of the multitudes. Creepy. Bad karma for those guys. Because if in the ministry is not freedom and builds your sense of joy and love for everyone, and your sense of freedom and enhancement, if those spiritual teachings don't teach you that, it's not a spiritual or religious teaching. Your religious teachings aren't about others and the negativity of others. It's about God and you, and how you merge with God. It isn't a religious job to focus on the negative forces. It's a religious job to get you out of them. But religions have become focuses for the negative forces, and the spiritual teachings are now those trying to pull you out of that negativity. You know, you can get lost in religious belief systems for eons. Hurt a lot of people, kill a lot of people over what? Amazing. Amazing. 6 months after that, I started to have severe low back and hip pain. So we know your kidneys are highly involved right there. Low back, kidneys, bladder, prostate. After my yoga training, I thought I could heal myself with asana. It took me 14 months, chiropractor's massage, and even some ibuprofen to figure out what was likely the culprit. I had attributed it to sitting long hours at the computer. I have a medical device called Assure in my body. You had a medical device planted in your body. Assure is safe, permanent birth control. Oh, this is a female. I have a medical device called Assure in my body. Assure is safe, permanent birth control. Was implanted in me 4 years ago and seems to be causing me massive anxiety and inflammation in my pelvic area. That's why it's so important. I'm trying to get an herbal birth control. That is so important that I get that out here, because everything that a woman has to do to protect herself from getting pregnant is toxic or hurts them. That should not be. That's not right. We need a good herbal birth control. Because what they assure you is a great medical device and all the really good, look what's going on. You can't put foreign chemistry into the body and foreign metals without having a blowback. So probably need to get that out of there. Bloating, ovarian cysts, hair. Well, let's go over some of these in a minute. I don't think that medical device caught all of these problems. Okay, so could be causing the inflammation, of course, that's obvious. It could be causing a demand for the kidney and adrenals, which probably is down in you a little bit. So yeah, I can see where you can start having a lot of problems within that area. Neurological pain, all kinds of problems in that. I get that. However, bloating, that could be a part of that as well. But ovarian cysts, hair loss, brain fog, irregular periods, I don't think so. Irregular periods, probably pituitary. But why did you have this? Oh, for birth control. Vision changes and who knows what else. Yeah, but I think what you're seeing is your kidney and adrenal problems. Now, whether this device exacerbated that, I have no clue. I never heard of this device. So I'll have to look that up. But when you talk about ovarian cysts, that's lymphatic. Hair loss, lymphatic. Brain fog, lymphatic. Irregular periods, pituitary, down because of the lymphatic or transverse colon. Vision changes, lymphatic. So, but the lymphatic system is controlled by kidneys and adrenals. The adrenals, of course, is where your anxiety is. And yep, you could be bringing your adrenals down with this in some way. Absolutely. Here's a site that they can look at. We'll look at this. I tell you, all these foreign objects give me the creeps. Give me the creeps. And now, of course, when you ladies are getting your biopsies, which you should never get a biopsy in my opinion, they're putting these metal clips in there as well. And then women's breasts just take off doing bad things. It's like, leave the ladies alone, please. I was 39 at the time of implant, and I had never been pregnant. I wanted to have a tubal ligation. I wish you had them. That's better. Believe it or not, the tubal for women is the best way to go. I know tons of women that did that. They've never had symptoms. They never had problems, but when they go to the devices, they always have problems. So you're going to tubal, and my MD said, we can do that in the office now without surgery, no downtime. So I fell for it without any research. Ironically, I was trying to avoid continued use of chemical birth controls. So they didn't do a tubal in your office. They implanted the machine in your office. You can't do tubal ligation in an office, can you? I don't know. But they implanted this in you. Anyway, these nickel coils are wreaking havoc on thousands of ladies' bodies, and most of us are resorting to hysterectomy. Oh my God. You see what I'm saying? I just have to say, the medical world is dark. Very dark. You ladies have to start going to the light a little more. Oh my God. And another to remove the fallopian tubes, etc., intact as to eliminate any fragments. Oh my God. There are 29,000 members to Insure Problems Facebook page. Estimates are 450,000 implants worldwide. Well, they made some good money, so they'll be able to pay for the lawsuits that's coming. You know, they're just, I just don't know what's happened to our scientific community. These guys just lost their place in ethics and every other level. And all I have to say to you ladies is protect yourselves, please. Because this is just one lady that's suffering amongst obviously tens of thousands of ladies that are suffering because of a little medical device. It's like, no, no, no. I mean, oh my God. Many ladies contribute to having severe autoimmune and other problems even after the removal. Well, you know, here again, talking about the golden key of detoxification, when you start getting into some of these chemical components, these metal components like nickel and anything that's coming off of these devices, you can only detoxify that out of the body. That's why detoxification is your golden key. Because without true detoxification, I can see where some of this could last you for a lifetime and wreck you real bad. I know. My removal date is June 20th. Oh, it's coming. Well, that's next Tuesday, right? Or Wednesday. You know the secrets of detoxification, though, honey. So you want to go in and detoxify your system well. Get your adrenals up. You need to get that up anyway. Get your kidneys filtering, clean up the bowels. And I would even douche. And this is another little secret you ladies can do is douche. I made the Heal All tea for douching originally. And that is cancer tea. I mean, well, you use their word if you want, but it's for atypical cells or cells that have been damaged, and it can reverse them. But it's a good cleansing tea for the females. And I'd get that tea up as far in as I could. And play with that a little bit over a couple of weeks, one time a night maybe, and really get in there and do that. Systemically, you want to detox and get that all out of you and get any symptoms out of you, and you'll be okay. So don't think you have permanently involved. And you might pass this on to some of the other members that they need to detox this out. This is the only ways, and rebuild any damaged tissue. Since watching your videos, I'm eating a lot more food. I had cut out 90% of dairy. Thank you. Before learning about you, my weaknesses is in grains. Well, you know that's going to be fungus problems. That's starch, and that's going to be fungal problems. I buy organic and predominantly gluten-free, but I cannot ditch the organic snack bars and gluten-free bread. I eat meat about one time a week, but could do without. Yeah, when you're hitting down this pathway and you want to take care of this problem, if you're hurting real bad, set everything to the side. You'll be back. To tell that meat one time a week and the bread and stuff, just hang on, but hit your body with Parasite M for a couple of months. It'll get the craving for bread out of you, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But you want to get into your body and fix this, and warn these other ladies what they have to do to fix themselves. I have been taking the Heal All tea for a week now. Douche with it, honey. I plan to be very strict on after the removal to detox. I would. Absolutely would. Smart woman. I know the food intake needs work. I have purchased a juicer, and my trusty Ninja blender gets used every day. You got your feet on the right path. You just keep walking your body to Wellville, honey, and you'll get there, and you'll feel good, and you'll be glad you did, and you warn others that have been doing this device to do that. That's what I'm saying, man. When they say, "Oh, we got a new," see ya. I don't know what else to do as far as supplements. That's all. Get on the kidney formulas, at least one lymphatic formula, 2 kidney formulas, an adrenal formula. Get on the GI broom, the bowels, and things like that. I would so love to have a personal Skype session with you after my surgery. I would love to be a case study if you need one. You know what, sweetheart? We're welcome to do that. Call in and get an appointment set up with Marcy or Attila, and we'll do that. we'll do that. Be fine to do that. I have been plugging you on the FB group. Well, thanks. And you remember, you can help them. See, that's why you're learning too. So you can be a channel to help others too. Isn't that a good feeling, to help others that are suffering? And what they do to women on this planet. But I would love to hear your opinion on how we can all recover from this BS. Absolutely. And you hit it right on the head. Turn that tea to douching. Get yourself on a deeper detox. Get the kidneys filtering so you can filter any metals or anything from the side adjunct of this out. That is, of course, in the move of regeneration. So any damage to tissue will regenerate. And that's all you can do. I would also take the female reproductive formula probably for a couple of months. Tone the ovaries and uterus. But you got to fix your kidneys and adrenals. That's why the cysts, that's why some of these other symptoms exist. Can't blame everything on the device, but you certainly can blame some things. If you are unable to contact me directly and you do a piece on this, please let me know so I can view it. Oh, we'll let you know. Definitely let you know. Sincerely. And Naples, Florida. Elena. Hang in there, sweetheart. I'll get this out. This is the weekend, though, so, and it's already 4 o'clock. So Drew and Chris will not have this up till, well, by the time you get this, it's going to be the week you're going to have this removed. But good for you, honey. Good for you. But don't beat yourself up, guys. We get trapped. We're the humans, basically a good loving species, I guess, but we get trapped in some of these things. We trust in others and believe in others, and it's a good trait. But when you're dealing in chemistry and like pharmaceuticals, and you're dealing in devices, you just got to get up to speed on the side effects and all the other things and the possibility of things that can happen. You know, they have all these new devices and all these new things, and everybody thinks, oh, wonderful, beautiful. There's nothing any more wonderful and beautiful than God and nature. Not man and his devices. Some are pretty cool, but remember who made them. This is all God making its own stuff. So just remember that. Hi, my name is Ron, and I have been watching Dr. Morse's videos on YouTube for a few months now. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming aboard. I am on a mostly raw food diet, good man, and feel great. I am also doing various herb formulas such as the Fab 4. Smart guy here. Smart guy, guys. My question is, will the hydrocele on my left testicle go away eventually with diet and herbs? Absolutely. I haven't seen anything regarding this in one of your... I haven't talked about it much. No, it is out there. My son, youngest son, or older son, was born with that. But I want you to think about the parathyroid gland with this discussion as well. Take a look at your glands, your adrenal glands, your parathyroid. Look for symptoms there. Pituitaries. Look for the endocrine glands. Spend some time working on the endos. Also working on the kidneys and adrenal glands. Clean up the bowels. And everything like the hydrocele. All this will pull down, strengthen, tone, and tighten. But I want you to think about the parathyroid gland when you do that. Get yourself on your raw food diet, perfect place to be, and then tone, tighten, and strengthen. And that's what's going on. But you have to kind of clean first. But in that process of cleaning, things start toning and tightening. It's beautiful to see. Kristen, I am a fruitarian. And recently moved in with a vegan, and we have been having a lot of discussions on sugar. I have found contradicting information on fruit sugars, and I'm wondering what is Dr. Morse's opinion on fruit sugar. Well, if you're a fruitarian, you don't need to worry about it, do you? You don't need any opinion on that because you're living the life, baby. You're living on fructose. And fructose to me is the superior sugar for humans and primates. That is our food. And my dogs like a little fruit, and so did my horses, and, a lot of animals like a little fruit now and then. But this whole idea that fruit is sweet, and that's for that it has a lot more sugar, and that the sugar's the problem, is idiocy. It's just idiocy. But it's idiocy when you find a whole medical, scientific community working on theories and idiocies. The problem is you're reading too much, and we buy into other people's theories and ideas, And it's like, excuse me? You got food sources for certain species. We're designed to handle fruits, berries, and melons very easily. It makes us healthy. It cleans us. It keeps our body clean, healthy. It keeps our brain alive and well. Keeps our nervous system up. And it keeps us spiritual. Primates love the same foods. But that's our foods. Omnivores have different foods. They can take a little fruit, they can take a little berry, they can take a little meat, they can take a little grass, believe it or not, amazingly so. It's amazing to me that a grizzly bear has a 65% sage-grass diet. Considering the length of their boughs and their teeth are for ripping and tearing as opposed for chewing. But they chew. I've been watching them. We don't have grinders. We don't grind. So vegetables are not our food source. Vibrationally too low for us. You got to look at all the levels of this. Chemically, vibrationally, magnetically. Vegetables are not our foods. I like a salad once in a while. I don't do greens anymore in my world. But I certainly like cucumbers and avocados and all the veggie fruits. And I don't mind if people have salads. But the fruitarian level is an amazing level. And I don't expect people to get there or be a fruitarian. I don't advocate that. But if you can, the power is incredible. What short period of time I was a fruitarian was beyond amazing. But I think man has to spiritualize up before that's ever a possibility. Because if you're not fairly developing spiritually, a fruitarian lifestyle will be real hard on you. Real hard on you, because that's for more ethericness. Short-term use of fruits and stuff to get well, yep. And I believe your diet should be 80% fruit, 20% vegetables outside of that, unless you can go fruitarian. But if you can maintain an 80% fruit, berry, and melon diet with 20% vegetables, you'll be healthy as a horse the rest of your life, probably for 300 or 400 years. Do you want to live for 300 and 400 years on the planet, though? She has metabolitic syndrome. She claims she cannot intake any sugars, including fruit sugars. Well, first of all, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So that right off is a problem with you and having an intellectual conversation with someone that doesn't even know what they're talking about. Because there's absolutely no way on this green earth that you can't have sugar. Because if you don't have sugar, death is imminent. Death is imminent. Let's replace sugar with the appropriate chemical word, carbon. These are carbon groups. Carbon. And carbon is the essential energy factor of this universe. We burn it in our cars. We use it for fuel. We use it for all kinds of things. But we use it for an energy source. We don't use proteins for energy. We use carbon. We don't use nitrogen for energy. So we use carbon. And when she says her body can't metabolize or use sugar, she's greatly mistaken, because if you can't metabolize any sugar whatsoever, you're a short-lived person. Because the first thing's going to go is all your fat, right? The glycogens are going to all break down. So now you're going to get like emaciated, and then whatever muscle's left, body's going to start bringing it down, because the first and foremost priority is ATP, ADP, and AMP. Priority number one, energy to the cell. That don't happen, cells don't happen. So she doesn't know what she's talking about. She might have an adrenal weakness where she's not metabolizing her sugars, but that doesn't mean she has to avoid all sugars, because that's impossible. And you don't even want to start with that language. That sounds like a medical doctor told her that, or she read some crap that somebody wrote that hasn't got a brain on their head. I mean, you got to be careful what you buy into out there, because sugar is the key component of life, whether it's grape sugar, which is fruit sugar, or whether it is more of a glucose, which is a little inferior sugar, but it is a vegetable sugar, or you have galactose, your milk sugars. Then you got a whole host of other simple sugars that are not involved in that. They're involved in other factors like ribose and all the other sugars for RNA, DNA, and all the other sugars. Sugars used heavily in the body. Heavily. So this whole idea of sugars and candida, this is what happens when misinformation and people that haven't any research or understand any of these pathways get to saying stuff that's not true. So this is propaganda that has no truth to it whatsoever, honey. You don't want to buy into this. This girl's lost. She's been taught wrong, and then maybe it's up to you to teach her out of this because she doesn't know what she's talking about. Does sugar from fruit have a negative effect on the body? No, not at all. You have to have carbon to have energy. You have to have sugar to have energy. And if people are fighting this fruit thing, and it's like, this is our food, guys. This is the Homo sapien and primate food is fruits, berries, and we can deal with melons really well. We can deal with vegetables. Didn't say we couldn't deal with them. But if you want to dig in and rebuild and clean the lymph system up, you got to go to fruits, berries, and melons, or maybe even a little higher into some water fasting, maybe some dry fasting. There are reasons we've discussed on video after video, but essential to get well because it's part of the detoxification process. But fruit sugar is key. Matter of fact, nobody messes with any primate out there, and they're predominantly frugivores, so nobody messes with them. And the orangutans, the ones that are able to have total fruit in their lives, they're the worst. So all I got to say, these are all friendly, loving beings, but they can rip your head off in a snap of a finger. And you could too if you were all on fruit. The power, you guys, some of you guys are knowing what I'm talking about. You're starting to feel that power come into your muscles, a power you never knew existed. This is a power way beyond muscle building and all that sort of thing. This is the universal power of spirit, prana, the life force, whatever you want to call it. It comes through the foods. It comes through all of that. When you remove the obstructions out of your body, it comes pouring through you. This is cool stuff. And you become a very powerful being. So people that talk this way, you've got to dispel them right off. Because sugar is I've done plenty of videos on this one. The sugar is the number one need above everything else. Secondary, you could argue between aminos and lipids. But your sugar is number one. Without the fuel, you're done. You already have a body and cells and everything else. Notice that the parent cell takes off without any food. You've got things going on energetically that most people have no clue about that supports, maintains, and builds life. Up and beyond food sources. So there's a lot going on energetically that are not from the foods themselves. Just breathing the life force itself is another level of health. That's the breatharian level. So you've got all kinds of levels. Not important. But when you're understanding the whole scheme of things and where the Homo sapien should be right now, and where he's at, it'll be quite a while to move man to the level that he can take a fruitarian life and stay at that level. Because it's a high level of love, energy, power, grace, beauty. You got to be prepared for that. Believe it or not, some people want it, but they're not prepared for it. So this is, does fruit sugar turn into alcohol in the body? All sugar ferments, honey. That's the whole, all things ferment or putrefy, all things. And I would rather have fermentation in my body than putrefaction from proteins. But it all goes to acids. Everything goes to acids anyway. But they're not initially. So you just got to realize that the way chemistry is. And whoever's talking like this and building these kind of idiocies out there, they haven't a clue to what they're talking about. All life goes through fermentation or putrefaction on its way down to atoms again. We've had plenty of discussion about atoms and the fact that we are in an atom rearrangement world where you don't just go buy new atoms or pick them up. Universe is already built. So all the atoms are already here that will ever be here. This is Legoland. Legoland. For ever to think that a fruit sugar is bad for you, bad mistake. Because you're going to get your health back, and your friend who's believing this cockamamie crap will never get their health back. So you'll have to just demonstrate the fact. But you should never let anybody take you off your fruitarian point. You learn why you're a fruitarian and why about these fruit sugars. But there's only a few simple sugars in nature. Like I said, there's a lot of simple sugars that are being used in the body for other things, but the three simple sugars we equate to foods are your fructose, glucose, and galactose. They're just in another way of looking at it, they're just different sugars for different types of foods. And that's what makes them different types of foods, is their different chemistry. You know, there's different chemistry in all foods. There's different chemistry in blueberries than there are blackberries. There's different chemistry in blackberries than there are in a piece of meat. So you have to ask yourself, are we supposed to eat the blackberry that produces the meat, or are we supposed to eat the meat that was produced from the blackberry? See where I'm going with that? So this person you moved in with has no clue, and you might want to help her because she can hurt herself. Her claims are ridiculous. They have they're off point. There's nothing there that, the real negativity is if you try to avoid sugar. And I have to laugh at this with the Hippocrates. Let's avoid sugar, but let's eat vegetables. What? These are all carbons. This is all carbohydrate. Fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables are all under the umbrella of carbohydrates. Fruits are carbohydrates. Vegetables are carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are carbon chain constituents. That's simple. So these are the number one need for energy. Carbon is essential because everything else you're already built. And plenty of amino acids in fruits, plenty for structure. You're already structurally sound. So for any repair, and for carriers, absolutely. What about lipids? Absolutely. Got to have fatty acid. You got a major lymph system built upon them. So absolutely. Absolutely. So you can find negative theories and ideas out there all day long, honey, but never, Kristen, never let them take you down a road of that. You're on the proper grape sugars. You're on the proper fruit sugars. We used to call fruit sugars grape sugars. But all the old greats are lined up on my side on this one. I will tell you. People don't know what they're talking about. And take a look at our world of how sick humans are. They've been buying into the theory of this young lady for a long time. High protein diets, ketogenic diets, and look what's happened. We have a very, very, very sick world with very sick humans in it, and it's from what they've been doing. Change it all around. So don't buy into that crap you hear out there and stuff like that. That's ridiculous. And it's not even physiologically sound. It's not chemically right. So I don't know where they're coming from. They're coming from theories and people that are spouting off bull crap like that. And a lot of docs are spouting that. That's the problem, is some of the docs with names on them are saying stupid crap like this. I don't know. Oh, Holly. Something just told me to pick you up. What is this, Holly? Having problems with ureter bleeding. Oh, I can see why I would pick this one up. Having problems with ureter bleeding from polyps, fibroids, and anemic. My doctor wants me to take lots of iron pills, yet I want to detox and get sulfur out of my body. I was currently put on birth control pills, something I swore I would never try again. I know, and it's... was currently put on birth control pills, something, let's see. Oh, she was put on birth control pills to control bleeding until they can figure out what is wrong? What? I've heard that before, putting them on birth controls for bleeding. Are you serious? You want to be very careful with that, because when you start getting into the estrogens, the abortive side, acids is what aborts you. Okay, so when you get in the estrogens and in the abortive side of doing this, this could make fibroids a lot worse. So listen, if you're bleeding, we have a bleeding formula. It's for internal bleeding, and it's simply called bleeding. You might want to get that formula and use that for internal bleeding to check that. At the same time, I would be on my female reproductive formula for a couple of months because you need to strengthen down there. At the same time, I'm on 2 kidney formulas. I'm on my adrenal gland formula because I'm going down this road. I'm going, baby, because I know the reason you have fibroids, endometriosis. I know the reason you have polyps and fibroids and bleeding is because you're highly acidic. And now your tissues are getting hardened. And now your capillaries are getting thin and bleeding. So you can turn all that around by getting the lymph system back filtering through your kidneys. Get your adrenal steroids up. Get all that up. You might want to douche here for a couple of weeks. Get up in there as far as you can. Get all that cleaned up there. And get your bowels cleaned up so you're not feeding into these tissues. And you're well on your way to turning this around. But use that bleeding formula to stop internal bleeding so you don't become anemic. I would take a look at my other endocrine glands, my pituitary, if you're a female, for shortness, irregular menses, things like that. I would go after that. I almost bled to death from a similar issue 10 years ago. You might want to get that bleeding formula and use that. That'll check that internal bleeding while you strengthen. And by the way, check your parathyroid gland, your pituitary gland. You can do that by getting your eyes or look at the symptoms that fall under parathyroid. And I'll tell you the reason why is thin-walled capillaries. I'm just thinking that connective tissue could be weak and you're getting a little petechiae as well in terms of not inside. And so when you're acidic like this, it makes everything thin and bleeding and everything else. I just found out about you and want to detox. Also want to stay alive and not bleed today. Absolutely. Heck yeah. I knew there was a reason, Holly. I picked that one up because I've got to go, and that's important. So you really want to get the bleeding formula, I would, and stop that internal bleeding a little bit while you're fixing yourself. Get yourself alkaline. Bleeding is an acidic factor, so get yourself alkaline again. Strengthen your body up. Get your kidneys filtering, your bowels cleaned up. Again, might want to douche for a couple of weeks. Any other part of the body you want to work on now. If you're running low on iron, take the liver gallbladder formula for a month or so. Give you the high iron herbs. But also iron is metabolized through the adrenal steroids, so get your adrenals up and check the bleeding. And then because all the symptoms you're having is one of acidosis, extreme acidosis. And if you're not careful, the hysterectomy is the word that's coming in your world. And we don't want that, right? We're going to say to hysterectomy,
no.
See?
No. No. N-O.
Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Try to catch up again on some of these questions, but you guys are having some excellent questions. And these are some pretty serious cases out there, as you're seeing. And sometimes things might not seem serious, but are a lot more than you think. And some seem to be more serious than you think, than they're not. So no matter where you fall into the seriousness or the chronic degenerative levels, you can always drive your car back to Wellville. If you can't, then you want to prepare yourself spiritually for your next journey. And that would be start letting go of everything at this world, because you don't want to come back here. And you want to start burning all the things that you've accumulated up, not your possessions, but your desires and all the things that you've created in the mind and all that all this karma work itself out, and just enjoy every moment. Enjoy every moment for the now. Separate yourself from your bodies, because you're getting ready to go have some fun. Getting off of this planet is going to have some fun. So that's all I can say for those that feel like they're not going to make it. I'll be happy to take the journey for you. Have been many times out of the body, many times, and it's a fun thing. So don't ever fear anything. If you fear anything, fear this world and what is the chokehold this consciousness on this planet has around your neck. And start taking that off. All these ridiculous ideas about fruits and things that we love, that's good for us. It's just idiocy stuff. And these people will never get well while all of you guys are getting well. And that's what we do. We just demonstrate to the world that we mean business, that we are sitting on the world of truth, and that we can prove it, and that we've done nothing but prove it for 40-some years. And you guys are proving it all over the world like nobody's business, and I'm proud of every one of you. This is your ride, each and every one of you. Remember this. This is your personal journey. So don't suffer, because you're only hurting yourself. So you deserve to feel good. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have your power back. You deserve to do the things that you want to do in life. So do them. Don't let anybody stop you from these things. You know, the governments only think they have a chokehold on the people. People only think they have a chokehold on each other. Give love, detach yourself and be free. Be free from the things of this world. Just enjoy the play. And you'll be happier and happier and happier while you're getting your physical body healthy. That is also feels good and fun. And get yourselves out of pain. You guys that are in pain, no fun being in pain. So I love you all. Thank you all for tuning into this channel. All you guys that are working with us and part of us, thank you so much. The Artie people, you guys are incredible, helping all these souls. I know you'll see more and more how these things are going to go. So have a lot of fun. See a lot of you at the iridology seminar. That'll be in September, I think. Fifth day we'll have some fun. Kind of what a seminar would be. We're working on trying to get someone to help me set up this seminar. But I'm running into people that I have all kinds of fun. I ran into this beautiful woman from Sarasota. She's an artist. Look at this. Tell me that's not a beautiful lady. Uh-huh. I can't wait to listen to this one. This is her first album. Just a beautiful, beautiful soul. Beautiful soul. And she's an artist. And just, that's what I'm looking for at this seminar, to lift us up. Lift us up in art, in the creative arts, into music and art and poetry and just beautiful stuff that turns on the soul and opens you up and brings joy and peace and happiness to you. Thank you so much. Love you.